Okay. Hello everyone.
Howdy,
Welcome
howdy.
back. Tonight, and sorry for the long wait. Tonight is episode 2 of Chillz with the Chapmans. Tonight we will be telling 4 supernatural, creepy, or unexplained true stories as told to us by friends, family, and other viewers. The first story that I want to tell, I guess it starts with this person being um, around 16, 17 years of age, and was with child at the time. And how the story goes is basically, I guess, the home that they stayed in with a big family had other supernatural and unexplained things happening. And how it goes is, she had went and I think laid down. She was lying down or sitting down and woke up to a hand on her shoulder or her leg. Um, Totally creeped her out. And that was just one of many unexplained occurrences that had happened in that household that they were in. And when I say a big family, I mean it was over 10 of them that could be in and out the house at various times. Um, and what kind of sticks with me is not only the fact that they had weird occurrences, but it was just the point of this person telling us that the parents, as they got older, the mother in particular has mental issues, and would always kind of say things that were kind of off-putting that a lot of people would associate with mental health issues. And for me, and while a lot of things can be explained, with the talking to themselves and whatever may have you, my point is to say that this person who I believed that it was more of a sickness with that parent, and then to have that experience happen to her herself, and really see this hand, this ghostly hand, this unexplained hand with no body to it, for even that brief second to feel that weight, to have that hand on her, it kind of, I feel like, put everything into retrospect. This person also told me that, and what I heard from other family members was that they had smaller people or beings that would run around their house. And I guess it could take the shape and look like other people in their family, having younger cousins, younger siblings. They would think, I actually heard from one other person that they thought one time that it was another family member, another cousin. And she said that, but when she went to follow that person, she knew that that was not her cousin, because there was no way that the person just was not in the room that she followed him to. And the fact that the grandmother, who, like I said, was supposedly, quote unquote, had mental health, issues, saw the same person and was yelling moments before, that person even seen, my witness even saw the being. The grandmother had started yelling at this little person that was already running in the house.
Whoa.
So, like I said, it's two different instances. And the first person, the 16, 17-year old that was pregnant at the time, this was actually her daughter. So her daughter, years later, playing in the same house where the mom had already had these experiences, is running through the house, playing around, hear the grandma cussing and fussing, see the person run past, brown boy, can't be too tall, a little man, little person, a little boy, um, could be a doppelganger, but I'll get into that after this part. Um, Run past, and like I said, the grandmother saw the presence, saw the spirit, saw the person as well. And to see that, like I said, this is the mother daughter, and then her great grandma, well, her grandmother. You know what I'm saying? Seeing these things or feeling them just around the house for years. Don't really know what that's about, and I think that family just wants more closure on that. So You guys can always feel free to leave your comments. You could tell me what you thought or maybe think was going on with that family. We all know about generational curses. Me being, African American, I don't hear about too many little people. The only little people that we know, or that I've kind of delved into are like, Frey or, fairy type people.
What about
trolls?
I was gonna say trolls or gnomes or
little like things that. Like that.
Yeah.
But to me, when I listen to the story, I think about them either being that or it just being a doppelganger. I just feel like with all the energies and them being able to maybe see things that normal people, normal humans cannot see. So maybe they're extra sensitive just in that family in general.
Yeah.
It just could have opened the door to other things. The home could have had a portal in it. It could have been, a little being from, whatever. It could have also been a doppelganger, which was, they, from what I've heard in different stories, and I know everybody hear different stories, but, basically just a person that looks like or could take the shape of, other people. So sometimes they can mimic voices, from what I've heard and read, shapes of people, or could do the same little movements or things that the person that would be doing. But then you also may figure out like, oh, okay, well, that looked like my husband. I seen my husband, but I know my husband just left for work 2 hours ago. He shouldn't be back home. He didn't call me. He didn't say nothing was wrong. And then, you never see the person's face. And I think that was probably one of my big things of maybe why I felt like it could have been a doppelganger, only because it did not show his face. Everybody just seen the back. Now, the grandma never said, other than her, fussing from what the person said that they heard. But it's the point of the witness, my viewer, saw the back of this being's body with clothes on, the head, everything. And like I said, it resembled another family member. So that was like 1 or 2 occurrences that was happening in that household. I got a couple more, but I'll save that for another time. So like I said, guys, y'all are welcome to chime in, leave your comment. Have you ever experienced a doppelganger or, a person that looked like, and I'm not just saying seen, but have you ever, I know because we all, everybody say that everybody got twins in the world and da-da-da, but have you ever seen something that was just so unexplained to the point where it was kind of like, okay, this is a true doppelganger. Like, it's no way that this is not the person that I think it is. Not looking far away and I know I got eyesight vision and then I look up close and they totally different. I mean, have you ever really seen anything like that? What do you think was in that viewer's home? Do you think that it may have been a curse, a generational curse? Do you think that maybe because of the family being sensitive on some part, because that's what I truly feel, and it seemed like it was from generations, a couple of generations, do you think that maybe all that energy attracted certain things to that home?
Definitely. If the home wasn't like built on something like ancient burial grounds or something like that. But yeah, definitely.
I mean, I just, it's just crazy. It's weird. It's different, for sure. And
I mean, doppelgangers are real too.
So, I don't know.
But
I mean,
the legend with that, they say if you see your doppelganger, that means somebody's gonna be
right. Well, famous one, off topic. But, Abraham Lincoln, and, it's in his book or someone recanted. He saw his doppelganger in the mirror and something with the two hymns and something else. And then he foresaw it and said that he was going to win the second term, but was not going to make it. Which we all know he won again, but did not. Right, he got assassinated. So he already kind of foresaw that. Which is interesting, and that's not something that they will tell you, mainstream anyway about that incident. So I just find that very, 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 very interesting. What else? So I just really like that story, and I just thought that I wanted to just start off with that.
Yeah.
Doppelgangers, like I said, is just something different. And then the world of the Frey, Gnomes and fairies and all of that type of stuff. That world is still unknown to me, so I try not to be disrespectful to any of those things. So like I said, I'm going to go with maybe it was more of a doppelganger, but it was a lot of mischief going on in the home, and to add, if I'm quoting correctly, I think the mother years beforehand said that the hand that was on her was a small hand. So that's very, very interesting. I'll have to definitely follow up and ask just to be sure, and I'll make sure to tell you guys on Chillz with the Chapman episode 3. But like I said, I think that the I think that that would be very interesting to update you guys and let you know of what she says about the hand size, what she can remember from that.
Yeah, that's wild.
That is, it's really, really wild. Do you got a story for us, or you want me to go to my second one?
I got a story. This is a story though that was told by a friend to me, as a kid. Well, not as a kid, but the story goes, well, normal day go by. They went to sleep that night. They lay down. He told me that he seen a black shadow in his room, and it scared him. As kids, we like cover up under stuff and like the covers and stuff like that.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah. We all been there.
And next thing you know, he said the house caught on fire. The house was just caught on fire. And everybody was able to get out, except for, I guess, the mother was the only one that, I guess, she didn't wake up, or was like in a deep sleep or whatever. So when the mother woke up, I guess this is what she was telling him after she got out. But how she got out, this is how she was sleeping, and when she woke up, she said it was a black shadow in the corner of her room, and she couldn't move. She was like paralyzed. And something told her to get out, so she was able to move, run, and get out. And that's when she noticed that the house was on fire. She didn't even know if the house was on fire or anything like that. So eventually they moved. They end up moving. They moved to a new house and everything. They get settled in and stuff. I think he said maybe about a year later. They smell fire in their house. And he's asleep, and he's woken up to a black entity in his room again.
Wow.
And this time, the mom is in the room asleep. And she wakes up and she can't move. She's paralyzed again, but this time it's a black silhouette of a person sitting at the edge of the bed, rubbing her feet. And she feels it. She can feel him rubbing her feet and everything, and she can't do anything about it. It's like got her stuck there.
Wow.
So I guess this go on for a while. Of them seeing different shadow figures in their room being touched, things being misplaced, being moved, and everything.
So not to cut you off, but with the second time with the fire thing, was it any fire, or it was just just a smell?
It was a fire. Their whole house was on fire.
The second time?
No, that's not the second time.
That's what I mean. Yeah, the second time.
But
okay.
the first time, the whole house was engulfed.
Yeah,
whole house.
First time. Okay.
Like it had to get tore down, engulfed in flames.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that bad. So, but yeah, so they moved, they're going through all this in this house, seeing these things, feeling these things and everything, hearing things and stuff like that. And, so, eventually they end up moving out that house. And the next house they move into, same things are happening.
Mm.
With that, the same thing. They smell the fire, stuff like that. So, they end up doing different things to like cleanse themselves, like the sage and getting baptized and stuff like that, or whatever their culture did.
Right.
They weren't. I don't want to say Arabic, or I don't really know, but they weren't from this country.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I don't know how they went about that, what they were, but
right. They did what they.
So they ended up moving again, but as far as I'm concerned now, I haven't really heard. We haven't talked in a long time neither, but
wow.
It don't seem. Maybe everything has calmed down. I don't know, but that's just a mild story that I have.
Wow. So, what do you think? Do you think that it was something after watching all these paranormal groups and stuff?
I think either they were being haunted by something,
right?
Someone,
right?
Haunted or hunted, or somebody has something negative attached to them. Either way,
right? Because I was going to say, just from watching things. One thing that I can definitely say is that, excuse my phone. One thing I can definitely say is that we know, so far we feel like we know that when it comes to if you move and the same thing happens and continues to happen, then you pretty much know, okay, it's probably that person. Now, we've kind of learned that from watching various supernatural, ghost hunting groups and paranormal researchers and stuff like that. You kind of know, well, if you move from the spot and it still happened, then it's probably you. Yeah. Whether it's attached to you, well, then it most likely is attached to you or something that you still have. So, yeah, that's kind of crazy and just so unfortunate. So I hope that person... if we ever get to have a follow-up, we would love to hear any updates with that story. Yeah. And, if anything has changed, if the same thing is happening.
They could tell it a little better because
of course. We tell it, secondhand. But just giving our details and our opinions is just wild to me. And there's, like I said, so unfortunate. And I'm told 2 stories where these people and families' lives are kind of... Whereas in my story, we got a family that from generation to generation, things not being told, but yet various generations are seeing, hearing, and interacting with certain things that's going on in one big household that has numerous family members. So, and in his sake, him and his, parent going through whatever they're going through, a very traumatic experience. Mm-hmm. But to still have this dark entity or whatever, just kind of still following them around and making this, just kind of reenacting and reprinting this same negative. Like, who wants to smell fire after having their whole house engulfed? You know what I mean? Like, that's just a negative.
Maybe it could be maybe that was it might not even be a bad entity. It could have been a good entity saving their life to get them out, and it's just reoccurring over and over because that was just a tragedy that got stuck with them.
And it could have been a poltergeist. It could have been maybe one of them just being so affected that they started to have their own energies just kind of play out, and it's sad, I'm
about to say, and that's sad because it's like scary because what if one day it really is something going on like a fire or something and you just get to the point where I'm not gonna,
get up because I am
hopefully
smelling it.
You have
every
smoke
time
detectors and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Unless they going off too. So but that's a lot of stuff happens in houses and stuff like that. I believe everybody has something. I don't want to say paranormal, but something weird happened in their house, but.
I think majority of America, more than at least
70, everybody 75. Has something awkward or weird happens in their house, and it might not be supernatural, but some of them people have a lot of supernatural things going on in their house.
For sure. Or just unexplained to where it's,
yeah.
but they can still explain it off, you know? But I just feel like sometimes, and that's the reason why we tell these stories, is because sometimes to these people, and including us when we tell our own personal stories, yes, we can find a lot of things where we could be like, well, we da-da-da-da-da, but it could have also been, but it stuck with us and affected us so much that we gonna tell our story, and yes, y'all can give y'all opinions, but to us, it'll always be supernatural or unexplained or just plain weird, to where you just kind of have to be there to see it and believe it type stuff, you know? And yeah, so I just feel like I said, that's just very, very unusual. It's very crazy. Another story that I want to talk about, our third story, is going to be a personal story of mine. And this is from a deceased uncle, my Uncle Sam, who was a, Vietnam vet.
Oh, so a lot of stuff.
So, God bless him and God rest his soul. The weeks leading up to him and his passing was very unexpected. The first thing, I think, for me being a teenager, is the first thing that I started to see on him. I had noticed some bumps on his skin. And mind you, we don't have, we got a dog, whatever, but we stay on the, clean side of town. He's never had these bumps. It was just so unexplainable. And, he goes to the VA. So, he gets his checkups and...
Like bed bug bites, mosquito bites.
No, they were like...
tick, fleas.
They were just bumps that
Just
were red on his arm. But they were just on his arms.
Like hives?
So,
type?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I remember telling my mom, though, because I didn't want to sit, and...
Yeah.
I was a teenager, so I didn't want to sit next to him.
Yeah, I get it.
I didn't do that to that extent, but I just told my mom, like,
but yeah.
Hey, look at Uncle Sam, is, some bumps on his arm. Okay, whatever. So, she let him go to the VA. They couldn't explain it, and they eventually cleared up. So that was what it was, because it wasn't like he was scratching at them. They just had appeared, and it's like he didn't notice it. So maybe I just saw it. I don't know. But, anyway, so the bumps was the first thing. To me, my uncle was not acting any weirder, only because, he had a lot of mental things that he was dealing with himself. So, Sam was just a character. That's just pretty much all I could say about that. Just a character, an amazing personality. He was his own person. That, to us would seem but he was very, very bright before he went to the war, and that's the sad part. Like, my grandmother tell me all the time, and his other siblings would definitely tell you, like, yeah, he was one of the smart ones. Like, very, very educated, had graduated and was, going to graduate, actually go to college, and, they kind of swooped him up to be in the war. But, yeah, he was that smart, was going to college and everything, and that was what Vietnam War happened in the 60s or something. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But he, instead of going to college, kind of got swept up in that, which is sad. But to have that mind and to be recommended to go to college and have that mindset to do it, he had to be a pretty bright person.
Yeah, 1955 to 1975.
So that's just sad. You know what I mean? So for him to come back and not really be himself already, and then have all these other, personal things happen in his life, it was just whatever. But anyway, so moving on. So I remember that day, and sometimes I replay it in my mind and everything kind of goes slow. I just remember walking up the stairs, because my mother had my little sister at the time, and and we had 2 floors to our house, single family house. And I walk upstairs and he sleep upstairs, and I was talking to my mom about something, or she was asking me to get my little sister, so I was getting her something like that. But I remember my mother asking him, like, Sam, you good? You want to go to the, you want to go to the doctor? You think you need to go to the hospital? And I remember him just in his like little slurred voice, like, no, I'm, in other words, no, I'm good. I just want to go, in my room
Us
I'm okay.
males we ain't really for the hospitals and stuff.
He
like
hated
that.
the hospital.
Yeah,
He
we
hated
don't
it.
really.
He always said every time he was going to the VA, the only thing they wanted to do was stick him, and he
Yeah,
wasn't really feeling that
I mean,
shit.
I feel it too.
He was tired, but yeah. So he wasn't never really feeling the hospitals like anybody. But yeah, so I just remember that door really just closing, and that was really like the last time that I really saw Sam. Like we went about our day. He stayed in his room, and like I said, we went about our day. We were still doing stuff. He was in his room, maybe playing music for a little bit. I can't remember. I don't quote me on that. But anyway, between some late hours, I was still on the phone talking to a friend, and I was still up. I know I probably shouldn't have been, but I was talking on the phone, the cell phone,
time for school,
sneaking, and yeah. So I remember hearing like a little thump or a thud, and I didn't think nothing of it because, like I said, he slept upstairs. My mom and dad, my little sister's room was upstairs, so I didn't know what it was because I only heard that one thud. And then I woke up. And I'm getting woken up. First and foremost, I'm getting woken up out of my sleep. And I'm hearing just a lot of screaming and a lot of yelling. And it was just so surreal because my mom was just heartbroken. So as I'm waking up, I'm just hearing her yell because she clearly had found him, dead, of course. And as we started to just talk about the events and how everything was just kind of weird, my mom just just tell us like, yeah, weeks leading up to that, no, I take that back. The police were going to actually do their own little investigation because when they came to his room, the way he was lying on the bed, at the end of the bed, kind of like slumped over to the side. And then when they were looking, he had his own microwave in his room, and he had, I guess, plates and stuff like that, leftover food. And, so they just kind of found that weird, until they look into it and be like, oh, okay, because they don't know what they don't know. So you find somebody that's stashing food, hoarding food, it just look a little weird. You don't know what happened. You have to still. Yeah. But my mom said that some weeks or months leading up to that, my Uncle Sam had this little episode where she just seen him taking coffee cups, water cups, or whatever upstairs in the room, and she was asked him. And this is not verbatim, but basically asked him, hey, Sam, why do you have these cups? Mm-hmm. And he was just like, he was seeing these people, and they were all around him, little people.
I was going to ask.
And he could not, he wanted them basically to leave, and they wouldn't leave him alone. They were around him. And, he just wanted them to leave him alone. He like, I've tried giving them, in other words, I'm trying to get them this. I tried to get them that. I'm bringing them, coffee. I brought them water, and they won't leave me alone. They won't get from around me, basically. And she never told, and, we were teenagers, and my sister was, my other sisters were kids, but I was a teenager. So, I get as a parent, you don't want to tell your kids some shit like that because you also know that this person with these mental health issues could really just be making this up or just seeing something that they aren't really seeing. But I just kind of find that just kind of strange to me looking back, only because it's like, that's kind of weird that before you leave and depart, Earth, that you have these visitors that some people would say, whatever, that it wasn't. But for me, I genuinely feel like whatever he saw was what he saw. And right. Those people or those beings were in his room, and they were trying to give him a message, and my uncle could not get that message. He wasn't trying to receive it. He wasn't open to it. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, yeah. He wasn't hearing them say words, but just seeing them was antagonizing him. He did not, you know what I'm saying? Like he said, I'm trying, and they just not, but they just still all around me. And I just find that just kind of creepy, leading up to that point. And that story to me will always be unexplained because, of course, he's not here to explain that. His cause of death was unknown, so he did not have a heart attack. He didn't have a stroke. Right. His autopsy just is unknown as far as I know.
And that's the thing. Like, I see a couple things here that say like, it's some things like it's actually a thing on here that's called It's called the uh, end of life visions or the deathbed phenomena.
Mm.
But the thing is, he wasn't on the deathbed. He wasn't like in the hospital. He wasn't like basically people saying these are things people see before they die and stuff like that. But the way it seems like it wasn't something that he was like. It don't seem like he was going to like he was that in a place where he was about to die. It seemed like he was more in a place of something is trying to like
Yeah,
maybe that was the thing like if I take care of these things they won't, you know,
for
and
sure.
they
But
were just playing a trick on him in the first place
but
just
my mom
because.
never said that he said they were aggressive. It was just that point of they are around me. I see y'all, but y'all just around me and y'all not saying nothing. Y'all not doing nothing. Y'all ain't reaching out at me. Y'all are just standing around me when I'm in my room. What do y'all want? I don't know what else to offer y'all. Y'all are not saying anything. So, um, like I said, hopefully one day we'll get the answers. I'm pretty sure he knows now. And like I said, that story just always kind of stick with me, and I just feel like I wish that he just could have explained that to us before any of that. But he was just on his own path, and definitely a wizard like person with very wise. That's what I should say. A very wise person, um, and will truly truly be missed. He told me a lot of stories, a lot of extra stories about just things that have not came into fruition yet, but that he
Mm-hmm.
truly believed. And those stories will be for the next podcast. But my Uncle Sam was a true, genuine character. And like I said, our autopsy never showed anything. My mom said that she don't remember hearing anything, but I know for me, that's what I heard. I heard a bump or a thud, and then to wake up to that. So, and like I said, it wasn't nothing that you would just make you jump out of bed and be like, oh shit, somebody unfell. But it was just still that point of the way he even went to sleep. Like, I don't remember ever seeing my uncle lay down on his stomach and to ever have his arm and hand just off the bed. And part of me kind of just try to rationalize that, like, oh, well, you probably heard him falling back down, on the bed. But,
Right.
it's just kind of that, well, what was it? Because if you didn't die of a heart attack, because they can tell that. If you didn't die from a stroke, what else would make you kind of just fall on this bed and this angle and dangle off to where the police at one point, before they had all the details, were at some point considering something different. And like I said, that's just kind of peculiar to me because clearly
Right.
they saw something with their trained eye that made them think it was something more
Oh.
than what it was. So, you got any comments, babe?
I'm just looking because that's very intriguing to me. Um, um, and I think I may have found something. He, they may have been, where'd it go?
The person that knows the story better is actually on watching now. Um, so, like I said, hopefully I can tell a story right if I rehear it. But like
That's
I
what I
said,
was
don't
saying.
do it verbatim.
The Makia Wisu, they are basically things from. They were people that the Mahogan tribe believed in. That if you treat them with respect, they are
Mm-hmm.
good spirits, but they must be treated with respect according to its tradition. It is important to leave baskets of food, such as corn and berries, or even meat, in the woods for them. So probably him leaving it out.
Well, like I said, my mom for sure told me that he had waters and coffees. That, like I said, he was leaving out for somebody or these beings or these
But
people.
they are more relate. They are more in tune to Native American
And you know what's funny now that you say that, because my Uncle Sam sure told me that his mother was Native American. He never really told me nothing about his father, but I know for certain that he told me that his mom was Native American. Mixed with it. I'm not talking fully, but that's what he told me. Don't know where he got his information from. I have no reason to doubt him. You know how that go in cultures where people just keep certain things to themselves because of whatever. But that's what he told me. So it's kind of weird if he was, any type of Native American, or his mom, that would be my great grandmother, because I know how Native Americans are spiritually. I know that they believe in a lot of different things, and they have their own customs and they own supernatural, things that follow them. They own ghosts and, different from American shit, just like Africans have their own ghosts and entities that are specific for them. So maybe my uncle have, his family and maybe his mom too just had these people or beings that just antagonize them or watched over them or come to visit them. You just will never know. It's just so weird to me. And then recently one of his brothers passed away as well. And I just, I feel like that one is more explainable because he, with COVID, everybody was sick and stuff like that. But the only detail that always just give me is the fact that, not verbatim, but from, his spouse just basically saying that she didn't hear, and, they older, so whatever. But for her to say that she didn't hear anything, but for him to fall out and die, I feel like on a porch that was quote unquote kind of messy, kind of junky, and for you to just fall out and nobody hear you fall on any boxes, to not trip and fall on anything. And I'm saying this guy is a big guy. He's every bit over 200 and, 6 feet tall. So I just cannot see anybody falling anywhere and for you not to hear them fall. And that, that just kind of remind me of my Uncle Sam, because it's like both brothers kind of fall, or have these.
I mean, you heard me fall the other day when I was trying to dodge the grease and tripped over my own legs.
Absolutely.
Even though I didn't fall hard, because I just.
But you still hear the steps. You still hear that person being off balance. Yeah. And I can't personally say if my Uncle Sam fell or not, but that's what I heard, and I'm gonna stick to it unless until I die and I figure out something different. But like I said, the way he was just on the bed and the way it was described to me, I don't remember my uncle ever sleeping like that. So, to me, I'm going to always believe in my mind that he fell.
Yeah.
And, like I said, to just have kind of both brothers kind of had this we gonna fall thing.
Basically in the same way.
Yeah, almost in the same way. One just not in the bed, but, I mean, both of us falling, you know what I'm saying, and nobody really hearing us or nothing like that. I just kind of find that it's just a little different. It's just a little odd. And then my uncle also had a podcast as well talking about certain shit. And, I don't remember my uncle ever being like this growing up. Like survivalist type. I don't remember him ever talking about that type of stuff. But then again, I was never really around him that much. But I don't remember people ever saying that he almost, to me, watching his videos on YouTube, he almost turned into my Uncle Sam. It was like them last couple of months and weeks, just watching the little YouTube videos that I watch with his daughter, it almost was like he was turning into my Uncle Sam, like having these conversations that my Uncle Sam would have. It was almost like he went to the army and you doing survivalist type videos and shit that, you can look up and stuff, but you were also not in the army. So I kind of find that weird for you to be this atypical person to have a regular American job in this life, and you kind of turned into your brother, your last months of life. I just full circle. So totally just weird to me. And sometimes you just so my mom said that she did hear him fall, and she thought it was our dog Buddy, who is now gone. She said that she thought it was our dog knocking over the speaker. So like I said, it wasn't a hard thud. It wasn't nothing to make you get up and think somebody was breaking in, but you heard it.
It was terrible.
Um, yeah. So, like I said, just very. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Just very, 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 very unexpected. Um, I don't feel like it was going to be, anything that I feel like, regardless, that we could have done differently. Because, my Uncle Sam is was a very, very just stubborn person. And, when he want to be left alone, you just leave the guy alone, So, God just rest his soul. You know what I mean? I just hate that, like I said, leading up to that point, that he had these unexplained visitors that was just visiting his room, to where he was bringing cups of, shit to please them, or to get them just out of his head, out of his vision.
I really wholeheartedly believe that was just things those were spirits that were coming to.
And it could have been. Him. It could have been as like when you watch the movies
coming
and stuff.
To comfort his soul.
Absolutely.
Telling him it's time.
Yeah, and it could have been. Like you never know who those people could have been. It really could have been his parents maybe coming back, and they wanted to picture themselves and bring comfort to him, and he wasn't, like I said, ready to receive it. It could have been ancestors all standing in his room and preparing him for it. Yeah. And maybe that's something that our family has.
Like maybe stall him.
Absolutely. And then maybe not, like you said, just the comfort. Yeah. Just to let him know, hey, you can see me. I'm letting you know now, you going to be with us soon. But let us come and comfort you so that you can, not be so afraid. Because that's not easy for somebody who has mental health issues. And I'm sure anybody else in their right mind would be like, oh, yeah, I got to be going crazy. It's no way that I'm seeing these things, and I'm not high. I'm not tripping. I'm seeing them.
Yeah, this.
You know what I'm saying?
This motherfucker right here. Like, what the fuck?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I want to believe that it wasn't any malicious. Because, like I said, he never told my mom or told us he was getting scratched. He was getting bit. That they were.
But maybe he wanted to keep y'all from being scared or.
My Uncle Sam spoke, period. So, okay. I don't think that he would have been one of those people to not tell us if something was bothering him to that point. He still kept his door closed. He still did him. And I feel like if something bothered him enough, I'm sure that he would have made that known. And he didn't. So I don't think that they were just malicious. I just feel like it's whatever his mom saw. And
something hereditary.
Something hereditary. Absolutely. It's something hereditary. It's something that follows them. Maybe skips certain people. I don't know. But to have little hands, touching you, and little people you watching, move through a family household.
Or even just hearing them.
That's something that's following a family. That's not something that's just with, absolutely. He did. Absolutely. But I feel like we all kind of know. Whether we joke about it or play or not, I just think that, when we all, I could say, oh shit, my legs hurt. Oh God, I feel like God. But I think when everybody is going to go, they know instantly. And I feel like when people give ages, for sure, because this person is now saying he said he was not going to live to see 60. A lot of people tell their ages and they be absolutely right, for sure. Could it just be a good guess, to our logical minded people out there? Absolutely. It could just be a very good guess, and goddamn it, you was right. Kind of morbid, because who the fuck want to, guess their age, but yeah. Some people are just right, I just feel like you just get that feeling. I feel like they get that feeling, they get that voice in their head, or that feeling just over their body, and they just know. Absolutely. A lot of people do.
Yep.
They know, like not a I'm getting sick type thing, but I feel like they know. And and I feel like my Uncle Sam was a gifted person. I feel like I said, that clearly some people in the family are sensitive and got different abilities within the family line. And clearly my Uncle Sam was one of those people. Unfortunately, and I think that that's what makes somebody crazy. in today's society anyway, they lock up those people who and say that they got schizophrenia when some people really are sensitives and really can hear people in their head or really see people.
Yeah.
But to doctors, that's schizophrenic. You're not supposed to see people that's not there. You're not supposed to hear them because if they can't hear them,
well, to tell you the
crazy,
truth, I believe a schizophrenic person, when they say certain shit, than I would an ordinary motherfucker. Just because a schizophrenic motherfucker is always going to be labeled as saying crazy off the wall shit.
Right, but so, everybody that's schizophrenic is not schizophrenic.
That's
some people
my thing.
Really are.
Everybody that's not schizophrenic aren't really schizophrenic.
Right.
It's just,
they really are hearing and saying shit. So, like I said, it's just very unfortunate when you get labeled as something because nobody is ever going to take you seriously. And I just find it sad that my Uncle Sam and his mother as well were both labeled, had these mental health labels, which I'm not discrediting because, it's clearly something off balance. But you got to try to think, too, years of maybe seeing shit or hearing shit or just knowing shit, and you can't put your mind to that because, like I said, this is older
like I was
times,
just talking
y'all.
about in my story, like you move to this next house, you still smell the fire,
right?
You still see the things and hear the shit, and it's like no matter where you go, and the shit follows you. Like that right there is a lot. And
it is.
That energy only builds up after time. It just keep building and building.
And it does. It does.
And once you pass it down and think about just how we sitting here talking about it now, they sit there and talk about it in front of their kids. They get passed down to them. They talk in front of their kids. They get passed down to them. So it's like a curse.
Almost, absolutely.
It's like a curse.
And it could be.
It could be.
It could be. Listening
especially if he was from Native American, because all of them was kind of categorized as witches at one point, just because. So.
Not to cut you off, but my family got this little thing. I guess another thing that his mother, I guess, used to tell my grandma, and her kids just in general was about the spaghetti with the blood. So I kind of looked into that, and at first you thinking, okay, the spaghetti with the don't eat everybody spaghetti blood shit, that's nasty, woo. People disgusting, but I come to find out, everybody, that is a form of voodoo.
Yeah.
That is a blood curse that you put on somebody. Yeah. So when you feed somebody menstrual blood
straight from the South,
it's actually a love curse. It's really supposed to be for men. So this man or partner that you want will have a blood tie with you. And when I say it's supposed to be very inseparable, that's what it's not really a positive thing. Because this person becomes too inseparable to where the point where this person can't live without you, breathe without you. That's a bad thing. Because, that's that domestic violence. That's that I can kill you because I have to be with you. So that's a form of voodoo, and it's not a good thing. So I just kind of find that kind of, not only are you kind of telling your kids something that maybe, she could have heard herself, but it's the point of, this is also a form of voodoo. So now we got my Uncle Sam, that has this mental health issue, which the war could have also did, and I'm sure it played a big part. But then you got family members seeing shit in the mother's household, the matriarch's household. You got little hands, you got little people. Then you got your son who sees these people. So I'm not going to say that it's not a curse, but it just could be... maybe somebody in the family lineage probably practiced some form of voodoo or witchcraft or whatever they were doing, before, because I have no idea. But that's definitely something that I think about all the time, and I just be like, oh, okay, this could have really been happening. It's very strange. It's very weird because I don't have too many stories about little people.
Yeah.
I don't have, I don't hear too much about that. Like I said, only little people we know are the Frey, fairies,
goblins,
trolls, little people like that. Yeah. And then when you hear the stories, like real life accounts.
But you got to understand, that's just for the things that we hear. Other cultures, other countries.
But not really in a home is what I'm saying.
Not really in a home.
I heard real life experiences, but these people was like out in the woods. And they like, well, I seen a little person, but they was out in the woods and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a little man. But it go from being in the woods where usually those type of people, and I'm not just talking about, where fairies, supposedly be in Ireland, or leprechauns and shit. I mean, like people have
And-
actually seen them in the States
And
in the
gnomes are
forest.
not that don't look nothing like the garden gnomes that you see outside.
Well, they should know that already, but of course.
And
but,
no, they're not in houses neither. Though those are all of those things that you find in their home, in their habitats.
Yeah, but they do visit homes.
Oh, yeah. That's what
and
I'm gonna get to.
they can and
That's
they
what I'm
will.
gonna get to. They
but
can.
I just kind of find that for me being Black, African American, and not really knowing too much about my heritage. I never did know Me 22 and whatever.
Same. Well,
I just still kind of find that strange that I don't believe we are Irish. So, like I said, it's very weird that we would have little people, whether it's a little person that's a doppelganger that's looking like another family member while you running through the house, or it's whatever. It's the point of these are little beings, little people, and they are seen by multiple people in the Black community. But as I've heard from a friend that is also a sensitive, like she said, and I quote, they are their own people, she said, and it's multiple races and colors.
I was gonna say, but I believe they probably just like us too. It's different types.
Yeah, like she definitely said that they not just white, they not just Irish.
Bigfoot.
Right, that's true.
So
it's multiple kinds. It's multiple kinds, multiple entities. So for sure, very very strange. I don't know. Like I said, only time will tell with that. Maybe do you want to do the
I was gonna say while
last
we're
story?
talking about entities and stuff like that, this my story is more about me myself.
Okay.
As a kid, coming up as a kid, I stayed with my grandparents, and my grandmother always slept in the room by herself.
Oh, my back.
And it wasn't because like they were married and everything. It was morely because me and my grandfather slept in one bed. It was a 2-bedroom house upstairs. And she slept in the room by herself just because I would be the one to take up most of the bed anyway. My grandfather, by him being in the army and all this stuff, like he was a frontline soldier. So he was the first one to get deployed, the first one to touch the ground when they went to war. He was the real person out there, like on Call of Duty, kicking in the doors and the first one to see the fight.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And scary.
Yeah, it is. So, that probably wasn't nothing to him. He's probably slept worse.
Absolutely.
So, coming up, being afraid of the dark as a kid was different for me because I always seen the dark move. And
Same.
I always took it as I got night vision. Maybe my eyes are just gonna adjust to the night, and I can just see like I'm a cat or anything. Like I could just see in the night, but it wasn't like that. It was more just like the night would just be moving, the dark would just be moving. So that would cause me to really sleep. She would sleep. My grandmother would sleep in the dark. She couldn't sleep with no light on. My grandfather, he didn't mind sleeping with the TV on. I think he had to sleep with the TV on.
Noise.
Yeah.
That white noise.
He could sleep with the light off, but I think he had to sleep with the TV on. We always did.
Yeah.
So
my Uncle Sam did too.
We fall asleep watching cartoons. So
like his radio and stuff.
The whole house would be dark, and I just remember having to get up and go to the bathroom, or if I would just be thirsty and getting up, and just the feeling of just knowing. Or just that feeling of being watched.
Yeah.
That feeling of something that's watching me. One day we had a thunderstorm. And I remember sitting on the couch. And boom! Power go off. It's pitch black in the house. My grandmother, grandfather, they go get the lights and stuff like that. I'm sitting on the couch by myself. And I'm just staring into the dark like I'm on the couch. And the way the couch is, you could look straight into the dining room, into the hallway that lead into the bedrooms. And I was just looking, and I was just looking, and I was just looking. And I kid you not, I thought it was my grandfather walking by from out the kitchen into the dining room. But he comes from out the kitchen a minute later. And my grandmother, she was outside. Well, she wasn't outside. She was in the garage. And the way our house was, all you had to do was go out the back, and the shed thing was right there. So you just go out the back, turn, open it up, and everything you need is right there. So I thought that was kind of weird, but I just put it as, maybe I was a kid, so I didn't know what to think. So I always got that. I never liked the dark like that. So when I used to be in the basement, like if my grandmother's watching, I would be in the basement with her and stuff like that. I wouldn't be in the basement by myself. I remember being in the basement and they had this bar, like closer to the back, but it was piled up with like bags and stuff like that, like a lot of junk and stuff.
Like most basements, yeah.
But it was a storm door next to it. And in that storm, for some reason, I just kept feeling like it was something in that storm door. There's something in there. I remember my grandfather opened it up one time to go in there, and I got so terrified. I got so scared. I was crying. I was begging him not to go in there. Please don't open it. And when he opened it, I just seen how much it was like more junk. I forgot what he was going. His fishing stuff. He was going to get his fishing stuff, and I just seen a bunch of junk and stuff, just sitting in there. So, I'm a kid. I was brushing it all off.
Right.
So, I just remember my grandmother taking me to these people to, I don't know, I guess it was kind of like a therapy type shit, I guess, or something like that. But they were in the church and stuff. And I remember talking to the guy. Every time I went, I would talk to the guy. And I would be sitting in a chair. He would be sitting at his desk. As we get to talking, it feel like somebody is pressing in on my Adam's apple, like choking me. And I remember passing out and then coming back too. And it's like what, but he still be sitting, like he never got up, he never moved. Like we would just be talking, and I would just be talking to him mid talk, and that's what would be happening. So I want to say later on in my life, my grandmother had her sister come over, and she was a spiritual person as well. I remember her holding my hands and like doing all this other stuff, and I just remember her looking at me. She like, "Oh my God, he sees spirits," and it kind of scared me because it kind of made me realize, like, all this time in my life, I wasn't just being a kid or being scary. I really was picking up on different shit or really seeing shit. And I thought about the time when I seen this figure, I thought it was my grandfather when the lights was out, walking into the back room. So, going on from there. As I get older, more I start to like, I guess I pushed it out.
Absolutely, because we all do.
My fear of the dark changed. It was different. My grandparents passed away. I'm staying with my mother now. I remember we stayed in this attic, and literally it's the attic, but it was like a finished attic. We had the sink, the bathroom, the tub, and all that. Like, it was livable. And I just remember one day being there waking up in the middle of the night, and I just remember hearing footsteps coming to the bathroom. So I'm thinking my mother or her boyfriend is up coming to the bathroom about to knock on the door. I don't hear no knock, no nothing. I'm like, maybe they just, waiting for me to come out. I don't hear no footsteps going back. Like, you gonna hear it, like the way our floor is made, you gonna hear the creaking. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
So I wash my hands, I come out, I don't see nobody, they both laying down. I'm like, maybe they just went to go lay back down. Nobody gets back up, anything like that. So I'm just like, okay, maybe they just fell back asleep. Maybe they just said fuck it or whatever. So next night, I wake up again to go to the restroom, and once again, I hear the footsteps.
Was that around the same time?
I don't know the time. I can't say the time.
But was it still around the same time? I mean, like daylight?
No, it was nighttime. It was
Always
nighttime.
nighttime.
It was nighttime. Yeah.
Okay.
I hear the footsteps again. Once again, thinking somebody is up. Nobody's up. So I go lay back down. This time, I'm like, I'm up now. I can't go back to sleep. I'm up. I fall. By the time I fall asleep, I'm about to go to school. So, I don't know what that was. Then I get older and I start working. I go to the one day. I go to Popeyes. I work at Popeyes. I'm walking up. I don't see this guy at all from out of nowhere. He talks to me. He started asking me about God and am I in the church? Do I believe in God and all this other stuff? I'm like, yeah. So he's like telling me that you need to come to church. You need to come to my church. I'm right down the street here, blase, blase. So I'm just blowing off like, yeah, okay, because I got to get to work. I don't really care.
Right, yeah, there's another weirdo.
So,
right.
I walk up. I turn back around. Mind you, this is an older guy. He had a cane. I turn back around. He gone. Like,
you always tell me that.
Like,
yeah.
There's no way in hell he could have made it to that corner that quick. By the time I turned around, I didn't even walk a full 30. I didn't even walk a full 2-3 seconds. I took maybe 2 steps and turned around and he was gone. Just disappeared. So, it was, I believe, ever since her telling me that I see spirits and stuff like that, and just me just going back and just acknowledging all the other stuff that happened to me in my life and the shit that I've seen, it kind of made a difference for me. Like, I've actually believed that I've heard, I don't want to say aliens, but shit in our basement. At one time, I was going in our basement to put my clothes in the washing machine for my grandmother, because we had this thing where I could put my clothes in the washer, then once it fill up, we'll start washing. So I was going down there trying to be a bigger kid, and I hear this weird ass metal shit, this a bunch not clinging, but almost like gears in a way, like moving and running and shit like that. They said it was the furnace, but I've never, ever, ever, ever heard the furnace or any other furnace sound like that again. It sounded like a factory machine in a way, kinda.
It sounded like big machines.
Yeah, and they said it was the furnace. I never heard a furnace, never in my life, or anything else in my life make that sound. I remember going out they had a trailer out in Port Clinton, and I remember going out there, and I just remember going out there all the time when they would go out there. I just remember knowing it's got to be aliens or some shit out there. I know it's aliens out here. I had this truck, this little toy truck. It was like how our son's truck come with the Jeep, the man in it, on the trailer in the back, you got the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Mine was an alien one. I don't know where the fuck I got this toy from, but mine was an alien one. That's how much I believed it was stuff out there and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So not realizing how much that would affect me to where I got older, to seeing shit in our house, to the time we was coming upstairs.
That's another time.
Yeah. But still, seeing stuff like that. But it all, my story is leading up to this, me saying, I had some very, very experiences at a young age, and I was just knocking them off until somebody said that I can see shit. And the most scariest time for me about seeing something, and ever, as far as spirits or anything like that, ever, was recently when we was here, and I was turning off the lights and stuff, getting ready to come lay down. And I was doing something. Next thing I know, I hear the boom.
My phone just died off.
Oh, wow.
It clicked off.
And it's on the charger.
I don't know if people still can hear me, but I don't know if my phone is still on or not, y'all, but my phone is blinking and my screen is black, and I'm pressing a button, and it is not letting me see the screen to see if y'all can still
And it's
hear
still
me.
on the charger.
And it's still on the charger. So while talking, guys, I just want to make a note at 10:33 on some stuff, 10:31 on my little stove. But I'm gonna say 10:33. My phone is now black on the screen. I cannot see anything.
That's crazy. That's because the story I'm telling is about the. I turned off everything. I was getting ready to lay down. Remember, I heard this big boom, like it sounded like somebody had just came through our window.
It did.
It sounded like somebody just came through,
or
something like
came
that.
Into our window. Absolutely.
And I kid you not, I heard like the footsteps. I ran in the room. I grabbed my gun and I loaded it up. And the first thing I thought about was somebody broke in.
And we did think that, y'all.
It sounded just like that.
We got a camera and everything, and no alerts went off.
No alerts went off. Nobody was in the house. No window was broken. Nothing like that. I swear.
It was not like, you know how they might be like, well, it could have been somebody upstairs. Absolutely not, y'all.
No.
It was in our house. We heard it. The loudest boom. And it's crazy because
you vouching for me too. I love it.
It's just wild. Like, we have had so many experiences, and like I said, we can't really go into those right now. But I also want to add to the fact that we, like I said, have a friend that is a sensitive in her own way, and has been very relevant on stuff that she has said. And just closing out to say that she also did some things for Deontay and told him as well that he was psychic.
Yeah.
I have never got told that. She told me that I was more of a healer.
And that's the second time in my life I was told.
But just to know that he was told that as a child, and then to be told by a totally different stranger, a totally different person
that
knows nothing
been
about
told
him,
that story. I never even
to say that, oh, you got, you psychic, and I'm just kind of like, oh, okay. I kind of feel like it's more me, but it just kind of all goes into play, and I really want to let y'all in on more of our personal experiences for sure. Moving forward, I thank you all for listening to our chat. I hope that y'all share it. Send people to the YouTube. Chill with the Chapmans.
I got one more story. I cannot let this one, baby. This is a good one. I promise you. Now this one is good. I got this friend on my gang that I was gaming with. I have to tell this story. He stays in Alabama. I don't know if anybody in Alabama know about the Alabama something cat. It's Wildcat, something hood. It's something like that. But as the story goes, basically him and his brother was out camping in the woods in Alabama. And they hear like this, like purring, like not purring, but like a cat growling and stuff like that. So, like, they see like this big black cat, a big black ass cat, a few distance away. He says they take off running. I'm trying to make it short. They take off running, and it chased them quite a distance, and basically, he said it had red eyes and it was a big black cat. And he said that to this day, his brother won't talk about it, bring it up, anything. And he proved it to me because he called his brother. And he said, hey, I want to tell you, I think I need to talk about that, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah. I'm having the dreams about it. He hung right up on him. He hung the phone right up on him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had to tell that. I had to. So
we gonna delve deeper into that, y'all, and look that up. So if anybody know anything about them,
I think I want to do our next one to be about cryptoids or whatever like that.
If anybody has seen those, y'all could tell y'all stories. But like I said, you could tell any story. This is about anything supernatural, unexplained, or just plain creepy that y'all can just tell us about.
I'll see if he'll let me like record it, if he could send me the story. We'll keep it totally anonymous on who he is, of his name and everything like that. So
we'll keep all stories anonymous if y'all want us to.
Yeah, I want to. That's gonna be a good one. But I'm sorry, I had to put that in. All right, Let's
Sorry that it took so long to do episode 2, y'all. We got to get better at our schedules.
We
So
will.
the next episode will be in another, I guess I'm going to follow up in another week, only because I missed out on so many weeks since the first one. So the next one will be next. Actually, it's going to be this Friday night at 9:30. We're going to start promptly at 9:30, and it'll be live on Chillz with the Chapmans. It'll be episode 3 under Deontay Chapman on YouTube or under our personal Facebook pages, guys, and we will be live. Make sure to, like I said, follow us, subscribe, like us. Stay tuned, because this is just going to get better and better as we get more people to tell their personal stories, as we hear more personal. Like I said, these are true stories. Whether you guys believe it or not, these are true stories to somebody.
we gotta be telling something true. Your phone just died and it's charging, and
my phone was on the charge this whole time, and it didn't say that it was dying and it's dead. Like my battery is totally drained, it's sucked up. And that's common with us as well. So
and let's be real, we've been hearing shit and clicks and stuff like that too. So
absolutely,
if y'all hear something,
keep y'all.
Let us know. I mean, we do got neighbors upstairs from us too, so the loud stuff is really them upstairs. But if y'all hear anything else that might be paranormal or anything like that, or extra voices and stuff, let us know.
For sure. Unless we tell y'all that somebody else is talking extra, or we say, hey, this is the TV, or you may hear our phones go off, something like that. Other than that, it should be nobody else in here but us too.
Yep.
So, we always try to make a point to let y'all know when the phone beeps, buzzes. I mean, sometimes I don't let y'all know because you can kind of tell when it's a phone going off or something. But
and if in fact, and you'll definitely be able to know if our kids come in, because you're going to hear one of us getting up or something. Or telling them to sit down or something like
absolutely.
that. So.
But like I said, guys, in closing, we do appreciate everyone from today, from, 3-4 weeks from now. Thank you just for listening. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our stories. And like I said, these are personal, true stories to someone, whether you believe it or not. And I just wanted to create this platform, me and my husband, to give the people where we stay in our city, in our town, and you don't have to be, but this is just to give more people more of a personal thing. Everybody, can do things on urban legends in their city, in their town.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do personal stories that from people that I know, or maybe don't know, but just their own personal stories, because we need more stories like this, maybe even for our own healing, and to kind of find these common similarities in a lot of people's stories and things that they've seen or heard or done. A lot of these things I'm starting to see have similarities with other things, or maybe people start to put 2 and 5 together, and be like, oh, well, this happened to my grandma, this happened to, so we kind of today just touch base basically on maybe having generational curses. Or generational beings or spirits that follow certain people and families, and that's a subject for another time. But like I said, I am out. Peace, love, blessings to all, and light and warmth, of course. Anything for you, babe?
You pretty much summed it up. You're an amazing woman.
Thanks, babe. All right, guys, and we are out.